Hi, I'm Allyson Lewis with the 7-Minute Life. We're a time management company, and I want to welcome you back. This is the third of a 3-video series, and we are really excited. I want to thank you for all the comments, likes, and shares. The response has been amazing, and I think it's because we're talking about things that actually people can relate to with being overwhelmed and having too much to do and looking for tools and ways to create a better life. So let's start where we started. We started by talking about the dreaded to-do list. And that really did get a lot of responses because I think everyone feels that. We have too much on our to-do list and we feel overwhelmed. And when I was setting up for this class, I decided I'd look up what the word overwhelmed said and what it was defined. And it was defined as being buried by a heavy mass. Being buried by a heavy mass. And I thought, wow, those overwhelming feelings, no wonder they make us feel defeated or crushed. And then in the second video, we talked about this, and this is a new theory that we're calling the choke point. The choke point. And the choke point happens right here. And this is how it happens. You walk in with a written to-do list, which is one of the things that we've talked about at the 7-Minute Life, that you have to clarify and prioritize what you want to do the following day. And so in this example, a great example of time management would be that you have your list, they're prioritized. So you start the day, you pull out your list, and you start working on task number 1. And you work just heads down. You work until you get task number 1 finished. And so you have a starting point and a finishing point, and at the end of that you can mark off number 1 off your to-do list. So that's what good time management is. It's coming in with a to-do list, making a commitment to complete it, promising yourself, I'm going to get these 5 things done, and then you take the most important one, you start on it, you work on it until it's finished, and then you get a check mark. And the same thing's true with number 2, number 3, 4, and 5. So that's the whole point of trying to get things done. But in reality, what happens is we don't start on number 1 and finish. What happens is this. We've got our list. We know we have a series of time, a starting point of the day and an ending point for the day. And we want to commit to get these things done. But the moment we walk into our office, we see all of these file folders, all of these things sitting on our desk, and they're likely to-dos that we had weeks ago, but they're just piling up. And then as soon as you do that, you sit down and you see all these emails that are sitting in your inbox that really needed to be tended to yesterday or the day before or a month ago. And then all of a sudden people start knocking at your door and saying, hey, let me interrupt you. But then your phone starts going off and you hear these musical sounds of whatever, and then you have text messages coming in. And so all of a sudden now what you could see originally as your to-do list has been buried under all of the distractions that have come into your life. And now where you wanted to start and finish something, now all of your tasks are moving to a point until you get right here, and we call that point the choke point. And it's at this point that you can do no more. Everything just becomes stuck. And that's the word that's so painful. When people search for us on the 7-Minute Life and they type into their keyboard, they're typing for time management tools, time management tips. How can I have time to reconnect with my priorities and purpose? And the reason I believe they're searching, the reason I believe you're searching is because you've hit this point in life where you are stuck. It's not anymore just that you're overwhelmed. It is literally, you feel like you are trapped and can't move forward. Well, there are a couple of things that we've come up with. John Arnold and I were talking about why this happens. And we came up with the idea that the reason that choke point happens is because of what we call faulty assumptions. And this is just genius. John and I were talking, and he said, Allyson, the big problem is that we all work on a time management platform that's been set up using faulty assumptions. I said, John, what did you mean? He said, let's take this example. When I had kids that were really young and I had to drive them to school, one day I would have made it to the school in 8 minutes time. 8 minutes flat, I'm at the school, we're all good. So it comes around again, and the next time I think, well, gosh, I can make it in 8 minutes. So I run right up against that deadline. I think I can make it to the school in 8 minutes. And all of a sudden, that's crazy. One time he made it to the school in 8 minutes, but typically it takes somewhere from 15 to 20 minutes to get there. By the time you go through the, oh, Dad, I need my homework, I need my lunch. By the time you get everything there, you think for the rest of your life, because you made it once in 8 minutes, the rest of your life, your assumption is, oh, if I can just make it out the door with 8 minutes left, I'll be okay. And so what happens is that these faulty assumptions become our ideal way of living. We have this idealized amount of things that we can get done. And so when we assume it's going to take us 8 minutes and it takes us 20, you can clearly see that we are underestimating how long everything's going to take. We have this faulty assumption. Therefore, because we think we can get more things done, the faulty assumptions continue to pile up until this choke point is just enormous. With that in mind, we are going to be teaching in this class something that we're calling the alternative pathways. If this choke point is never going to change, and it's going to be hard to get everything done, then what if you could create an alternative pathway that went like this, that bypassed the choke point completely? What if your life could have a different path? You know, in our last video, we talked about regenerating things, not just fixing them or replacing them, but coming up with something completely new. If I told you, hey, I can help you fix these faulty assumptions, guess what? You fix them, they're still faulty. You don't need new faulty assumptions, you need new assumptions. You don't just need to try to fix the choke point, you need an alternative pathway. You need something completely new. This is what we're going to be teaching today. In the next segment, which is very short, you're going to find out why people come to us looking for time management. But they really come, you're going to come. My guess is you have come because you've hit this choke point of I don't have enough time. Am I just not able to get it done? What is holding me back? And the reason is that the choke point is real. Trying to fix it by fixing faulty assumptions will not work. The only thing that will work is coming up with new pathways, getting rid of the old, totally moving them out of your life and coming up with an understanding of an alternative pathway. So let me get this all erased, and I'm going to share with you how your life can change by just walking down a different pathway. This is the last drawing. The class today is called Creating Alternative Pathways, a New Reality. I believe that when people search for us, they're searching for things about time management tools, time management worksheets. How can I set my 90-day goals? What is my purpose in life? But I believe even though they're searching for those, they're looking for alternative pathways so that they can turn the hours in their day into a meaningful life. And even though you may not have known what to call it, that when you search for us, you're at this point in life where you've got all these things, your hopes, your dreams, your life, your kids, your family, your faith, and all of a sudden they hit a choke point. And what is squeezed out of your life is meaning. That's what an alternative pathway means. If you can't change the choke point, is there something else you could change? And so I'm going to read just a couple of paragraphs out of my book, The 7-Minute Solution. This is on page 236 in the printed copy. And this is what it says. Much of the 7-minute solution involves doing, but re-energizing at the soul level also includes being. It involves being present in the moment, deciding to breathe in life, making sure you have time to simply be, time to find the meaning. I asked Dan Holmes, the psychologist who introduced the idea of creating CalPAS, to help me understand the psychological difference between the mind and the soul. This is so insightful. Dan said, I see the mind as the storehouse of memory and thoughts. I see the soul as pure consciousness. In counseling sessions, I often hear people speak of events in their life in a personal form of plurality. Let me say that again. They speak of their lives in a personal form of plurality. They'll say something like, I feel sad when I let myself speak so harshly. Notice the two people in that statement, I and myself. I felt sad when I let myself speak so harshly. Who are the two people in that narrative and how are they different? This is the part that took my breath away. I asked Dan to pause so I could process where he might be going. Dan continued, when I'm counseling this person, I believe the I they are speaking about is their soul. The I is their pure connection with who they want to be. Their I lives in the present moment, is fully awake and fully aware. Their I feels meaning and depth and richness in life. The myself in this internal dialogue comes from the mind. The mind assigns a label to everything. Every action is either good or bad. Many thoughts are tied to past memories, and if those memories are negative, your mind may lead you to a path of depression. If your mind puts too much energy in focusing on the future, your mind may lead you to a life of anxiety. I think that's what we're looking for, is how do we understand that we have inside of each one of us a plurality of who's inside of us, a plurality. Do we each inside of us have this I, this soul, and do we have this me, the mind? And I would say the answer is yes. Inside our brain, we have functions that are considered to be left brain and right brain. Now they're now saying it actually merges together, but I think for this explanation, we can begin to understand that the left brain that we take into business is what stores all of these things. It's the left brain that says, don't forget to turn in the budget report. Don't forget to take the kids' poster paper home. Don't forget to plan the birthday party, file the taxes. The left brain is logical, linear. It creates in a spreadsheet type of form. The left brain always wants things to add up perfectly. The language is in the left brain. 96% of people have their language center in the left brain. The problem with the language center being in the left brain is that the left brain is never quiet. This left brain, which is judgmental and wants everything to be perfect and makes all these demands on us, it also has the language side. So remember when I said you're not enough, you're not enough, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough. That's all coming from this left brain side. It's labeling everything. The mind is this left brain that labels everything, good or bad, smart, not smart. The right brain, on the other hand, is the soul. The right brain is creative. It thinks in pictures. It senses through the smells and tastes. The right brain has very few boundaries. It wants adventure. It begs for connection. The right brain wants relationships. It wants to hope and dream. The right brain is what we're missing out on all this. The left brain is what puts all of this into the choke point. The left brain has to be able to function to get things done. But what we've done is we've let this choke point squeeze out everything that we hold true. It has squeezed out our soul. The alternative pathway is not getting more done. It's giving yourself permission to have freedom from this choke point for a period of time where you can make your life meaningful, where you can find your purpose, discover your priorities, and use your right brain to live into the moment, to spend time with your family, to focus on your faith, to use your strengths and talents to serve the world around you. And all I want you to understand is that this choke point is a conscious awareness. And at that point, we get to make a choice. Am I going to let this take up all of my mental space, or am I going to choose to get to a point where I do as much as I can and I let my soul, my right brain, my soul have a chance to live? People come to us searching for time management. I want worksheets. I want templates. I want checklists. But I think what they really want is they want their soul back. So this brings us to here. This is a little chart called this or that. Remember that the left brain labels everything. The left brain says it's a plus or a minus. It's good or bad. It's right or wrong. It's happy or sad. It's left or right. It's yes or no. But that's not really how labels are. I mean, life cannot be labeled. But what we can do is we can choose to go this way or that way. Am I going to choose to continue to let every decision I make with my time be left brain oriented, which is task, which have to be done, but am I going to let everything in my life go this way? Or right now, will I make a choice for an alternative pathway that can go that way? Are there things in life that I just need to understand I'm using faulty assumptions? Those to-do lists that are bearing me under a heavy weight, that are overwhelming, painful, full. Do I have to put all of my energy into the left brain, or can I, at this moment, understand that this is a faulty assumption? I will never, ever get everything done, and what's being squeezed out is meaning in life. So, can I choose an alternative pathway that says with part of my time, I'm now going to go that way? And I'm going to reconnect with my soul, my heart. I'm going to look at life and find out what's most important. And that brings me to the final question again, then what? I really hope these videos have been helpful for you going through the to-do list, explaining the choke point, looking for alternative pathways. I know it's important to me, and I think that just coming to the recognition that it's okay, that we have permission to go this way or that way. But I think for some of you that are watching, you want more. You understand the concept. You know that you have to do these things. You have to. But you're wanting to understand how you can take these alternative pathways to reconnect with your life. But then what is that in the next day, you're going to be getting information about how you can learn more about the skill sets to place these things into your life. You'll be able to read all about what's about to happen from the 7-Minute Life, because I know when people search for our website, they're searching for time management tools, time management worksheets. How do I set goals? And that's what we do. But what if we could teach people how to use these tools so that they wouldn't only have to focus on the left brain, but they could also go that way and reconnect with their soul? I'm Allyson Lewis. It's been great talking to you today. I'm amazed by how many of you have liked, commented, and shared. I hope you'll do the same with this video. And I look forward to sharing the details of what's about to happen coming soon. Make sure to check your email box tomorrow.